The road is a lonely place, especially at night. Okay, for 20 years, I've hauled freight across this country and have seen things that would make your hair stand on end. Things you wouldn't believe unless you'd been out there in the dark with nothing but the hum of your engine for company. It started with the whispers, the stories you hear from other drivers at truck stops and greasy spoons. Legends of the black-eyed kids, the skinwalkers, and the phantom hitchhikers. Most of us laugh it off, just spooky campfire tales to pass the time. But some stories, they stick with you, cause, deep down, there's a kernel of truth in them. My first real taste of the weirdness happened on a stretch of I-80 in Wyoming. It was a clear, moonless night. The kind of night where the stars are so bright, they feel like they could fall right out of the sky. I was making good time, pushing my rig, Old Betty, to get a load of produce to Chicago. The road was dead empty. Just me, my headlights cutting a path through the darkness, and the low growl of the diesel. That's when I saw him. A figure on the side of the road, thumb out. Not unusual, you see it all the time, but this was different. It was 3 in the morning, miles from any town, and the guy was dressed in old-fashioned clothes like something out of a 50s movie. Faded jeans, a white t-shirt, and a leather jacket. Even from a distance, I could tell he looked cold. My company has a strict no-riders policy, with something about him. A wave of pity washed over me. The guy looked harmless, so, against my better judgment, I slowed down. As I pulled over, my headlights hit him full on. He was young, maybe 20, with a clean-cut face and slicked back hair. He smiled, a polite, thankful kind of smile. I leaned over and opened the passenger door. "Where you headed, son?" I asked. "Just up the road a ways," he said, his voice soft. "Appreciate the lift." He climbed in, bringing a chill with him that had nothing to do with the night air. The cab suddenly felt colder. He settled into the seat, his hands neatly folded in his lap. We drove in silence for a few minutes. I tried to make small talk. "So, what brings you out here in the middle of nowhere?" He just looked straight ahead, waiting for a ride. "Well, you found one." I chuckled, trying to lighten the mood. It wasn't working. The air in the cab was thick, heavy. I glanced over at him. Okay, his skin was pale, almost translucent under the dashboard lights, and he hadn't blinked, not once. A shiver went down my spine. The friendly concern I'd felt was gone, replaced by a cold knot of fear in my stomach. I focused on the road, my knuckles white on the steering wheel. We passed a sign, Laramie, 20 miles. "Almost to Laramie," I said, my voice a little shaky. "Can I drop you there?" He turned his head slowly, and his eyes met mine in the reflection of the windshield. They were dark, empty pools. "This is fine right here," he said. I looked around. We were in the middle of nowhere, endless plains on either side. Here, nothing here. He gave that same eerie smile. "Where I get off?" Before I could say another word, he opened the door. The truck was still doing 60 miles an hour. I yelled, stomping on the brakes, the whole rig groaning and screeching. But he was already gone. I slammed to a halt on the shoulder, the smell of burnt rubber filling the air. I jumped out, my heart pounding in my chest, expecting to see. Well, I don't know what I was expecting, but there was nothing. No body, no blood. Just the empty, silent road stretching out behind me. He had vanished. I stood there for a long time, the cold wind whipping around me, before I got back in the cab and drove away as fast as I could. I never picked up another hitchhiker. You'd think that would be enough to make a man quit, but trucking gets in your blood. A few years later, I was hauling a load through the mountains of West Virginia on Route 19. It's a treacherous road, full of hairpin turns and steep grades. A thick fog had rolled in, so dense it was like driving through milk. Visibility was near zero. So I was creeping along, my eyes strained, hands gripping the wheel. My CB radio, usually crackling with chatter, was silent. The fog seemed to swallow all sound. I I was navigating a particularly nasty curve, hugging the inside lane, when a voice burst through the radio. It wasn't the usual trucker drawl. It was a woman's voice, soft and filled with a strange urgency. Danger ahead. Pull over now. It was so clear, so sudden, it made me jump. I grabbed the mic. Who is this? What's the danger? Silence. I called out again. Nothing. It must have been a fluke, I thought. Interference. But the voice, it had sounded so real, so close. Something told me to listen. I trusted my guts, kept me alive this long. I found a small pull-off and eased my rig onto the gravel shoulder, killing the engine. The silence that followed was deafening. I sat there in the fog, the woman's warning echoing in my mind. Maybe 5 minutes passed. Then I heard it. Thunderous roar coming from further down the mountain. It grew louder and louder, a terrifying crescendo of snapping trees and grinding metal. Suddenly, a logging truck, its brakes completely shot, came careening around the bend, right where I would have been. It was out of control, fishtailing wildly, its massive load of logs breaking loose and spilling across the entire road like a set of deadly pickup sticks. The truck jackknifed and slammed into the rock face with a sickening crunch. If I hadn't pulled over, would have been right in its path. There would have been nothing left of me or old Betty. I sat there, shaking for what felt like an hour before I could even think about moving. I tried the radio again, trying to find the woman who saved my life. To the lady on the line. Thank you. You saved my life. Who are you? The radio crackled, and for a second, I thought I heard her voice again. A faint whisper carried on the static, always watching the road. Then, just static. The state troopers said it was a miracle I was alive. When I told them about the voice on the radio, they just looked at me like I was crazy. But later, one of the older tow truck drivers pulled me aside. He told me a story about a woman who had died on that same curve years ago. Her car went over the edge in a thick fog, just like this one. They say her spirit still haunts that stretch of road, warning drivers of danger. It's a guardian angel of Route 19. But not all the voices on the radio are angels. Some are devils. There's a legend that truckers only speak about in hushed tones. The story of the CB killer. They say he's a trucker, one of us. He uses the radio to find his victims. He'll start a friendly conversation, get you talking, find out your route, what you're hauling, if you're driving alone. He sounds normal, just another guy trying to kill the lonely miles. He calls himself the collector. He'll ask you what you collect, coins, stamps, whatever. Then he'll tell you about his collection. People, I never put much stock in it. Just another ghost story, right? Until last year, I was on a long haul down to Texas, crossing through Oklahoma on a desolate stretch of highway. It was late, and I was bored. I was flipping through channels on the CB when I heard a calm, steady voice. Breaker 19. Breaker 19. Any drivers out there feeling the midnight blues? Another voice, a younger sounding kid, answered. You got the Sandman here, trying to make it to Dallas before dawn. The Sandman, huh? I'm the collector, the first voice said. What's your 20, Sandman? A chill went down my spine. The collector. It had to be a joke, some sicko playing a prank. The kid, Sandman, told him his location. He was about 30 miles ahead of me on the same route. They chatted for a while. The collector had a smooth, charming voice. He asked the kid what he was hauling, if his company had tracking, all the usual questions. But there was an edge to them, a purpose. Then he asked it. So, Sandman, you a collector? What do you collect? Kid laughed. Nah, man, just collecting miles and paychecks. The collector's voice dropped, became low and menacing. That's a shame. I collect things, special things. And I think I just found my next acquisition. The radio went silent. The kid, Sandman, didn't respond. I tried to call him. Sandman, you there? You copy? Sandman, Nothing. Just dead air. My blood ran cold. I grabbed the mic. "This is Big Joe." To the driver calling himself the collector. "The police have been notified. I have your location." It was a total bluff, but the response I got was terrifying. The collector's calm voice came back on without a trace of panic. "Big Joe," he said, and it felt like he was speaking right to me, like he was in the cab next to me. "You shouldn't have done that. Some collections are meant to be private, but don't worry, there's always room for one more." The radio went silent again. I floored it. I called the highway patrol on my cell, told them everything. They didn't laugh. They told me to stay on the line and that they were sending units. 20 minutes later, I saw the flashing lights up ahead. A truck, the same company as the kids, was pulled over on the shoulder, its door hanging open. The patrol cars were everywhere. They never found a kid or the collector. It was like they both just vanished into the night. Okay. Sometimes, when I'm out on the road late at night and the static on the CB starts to hiss and crackle, I think I can hear his voice, a low, calm whisper. "Any drivers out there?" I turn the radio off now. I prefer the silence. Because out here, in the dark, you never know who's listening. The road is a lonely place, and it keeps its secrets, and some secrets are better left buried. Thanks for listening, and stay safe out there.